For the cylinder test, fill in 2 equal layers. Begin rodding each layer 25 times. After rodding first layer, tap 10 to 15 times. Then repeat those same steps for the second layer and make sure to overfill the cylinder. Now, after overfilling and rodding the final times, we're gonna attempt to level the surface of the cylinder to get all the excess concrete off so it could be as level as possible. And now we're gonna use a wet sponge to get all the excess concrete that the rod couldn't get so it could be as clean as possible. Now we're gonna remove our cylinder, place a cover on it, and label it accordingly. We're gonna label it with the project number, batch number, date, etc. Now we're gonna conduct the slump test. This is us damping all the tools we need in order to complete this test. So first we're gonna step on the bottom section of the cylinder and make sure we don't remove our feet through the whole process. And now we're gonna fill the cylinder in 3 equal volumetric layers. After filling in 3 equal volumetric layers, we're gonna use the tamping rod to penetrate 1 inch into the filled surface, the first surface. As you can see here, we're gonna bring the rod once again and make sure to use our eyes as an engineer to make sure we're penetrating 1 inch into the layer below. We will repeat these same steps for each layer with filling each layer and rodding 25 times. And then on the third layer, we're going to overfill it. And after overfilling the third layer, you can see that the concrete began to sink. So we decided to add more before our final rotting. Now we're gonna try our best to get most of the excess concrete off the surface, and we're also gonna use a sponge to try our best to clean around the top surface of the cylinder as quick as possible because we need to get this done in ample amount of time. Clean all the excess concrete away from where we're gonna put the cone upside down so that it wouldn't affect the test. Now we're gonna press on it firmly before removing our feet. And after we've done that, we're gonna slowly release the cone, lifting it up between 3 to 7 seconds. Now we're gonna turn the cone upside down. After turning the cone upside down, we're going to use the rod and put it on top of the upside down cone and use a ruler to measure from the center of the slump to the bottom of the rod and use that measurement. Now we're going to damp all the tools in which we need for the air content pressure method. Now we're going to begin filling the bucket in 3 equal layers. After filling in 3 equal layers, we're going to rot it 25 times. Now we're going to begin to use a mallet and tap the side of the bucket 10 to 15 times. Now we're going to fill the bucket once again for the second layer, and be sure to penetrate 1 inch into the first layer, and then route it 25 times and tap 10 to 15 times with a mallet. Now for the third and final layer, as you can see, we're going to overfill it all the way to the top and more, so that when we begin our rotting, there's enough concrete left on the top to where we can level the surface neatly. Now we're going to tap 10 to 15 times with a mallet, repeating the same steps. And after this, we're going to use our tile and put it 2/3 of the way, 2/3 of the top, as you can see right here. And now we're going to pull back in a rocking motion and slide the tile all the way back, then put it into the same spot, 2/3, and push forward in a rocking motion. And now we're going to use the tile to strike off the top surface at 45-degree angle each side, and continuously do so until we feel like the surface is clean enough. And then use a sponge to clean off all the other excess concrete in which we couldn't get around the sides. Now, after cleaning up the surface thoroughly, we're gonna clasp on the air meter and clasp 2 sides at a time so it's properly sealed and nothing will leak out. Now, with both petcocks open, we're gonna use or water, and we're gonna spray water through one end and keep going until we see that clear water is coming out the opposite side, the opposite petcock, with no air bubbles. Now the next step is to close the bleed valve. After we've tightened the bleed valve, we're gonna pump to the required value that is displayed on the back of the air meter. After pumping to required value, we're gonna close the petcocks and then hold down the main valve and be sure to keep it held down throughout the rest of the test. Tap it lightly, then use the mallet and tap it to get an accurate reading. Now we're gonna open the petcocks with our hands covering the hole so no water gets sprayed on anyone. We're also gonna damp all the tools in which we need for the air content volumetric method. For the volumetric method, we're using a smaller bucket. So for this one, as you can see, we're only going to fill it in 2 equal layers. We're still going to rot it 25 times. Use a mallet to tap each side 10 to 15 times for both layers. And then with the rod, penetrate 1 inch into the bottom layer. On the second layer, we're going to be sure to overfill it all the way to the top. And then, as I stated before, rod it 25 times and use the mallet to tap it 10 to 15 times. Now, as you can see, after completing the second layer, we have excess concrete, which is what we want. And now we're going to use a strike off bar in order to clean off all the extra concrete off the surface. We're also going to use a wet sponge in order to clean off the rim of the bucket so there's no extra concrete on that, which would prevent the top from closing onto it. Now we're going to wet the inside section of the meter, including the gasket, and then we're going to attach it to the measuring bowl. This is going to create a watertight seal so that no water can escape once we start filling it. Now the next step is to insert the funnel. And then after inserting the funnel, we're going to proceed to add 1 pint of water. And then that's going to be followed by the required amount of isopropyl alcohol, which we would need to complete the test. Now after adding the alcohol, we're going to use the water and we're going to fill the funnel. We're going to pour water in the funnel until we can start to see the water in the on the side reading start to elevate. As you can see, in about a second, the water is going to start rising in the meter, and we're going to fill it all the way till we could get as close as possible to 0. After we've gotten right around that 0 mark, we're going to remove the funnel, and now we're going to add water through our blue water catcher and slowly add little amounts of water until we get right to the top of that 0 mark, as you can see. Now we're going to attach the cover and tighten it as tight as possible in order to create a watertight seal. After we've done so, we're gonna quickly invert the meter and then shake it horizontally and return the meter to an upright position. We're gonna shake it for approximately 45 seconds, 5 seconds each time, and then reinverting the meter after each 5-second interval. After those 9 sets of 5 seconds each of inverting the meter, we're going to place it on the ground and roll it at roll it a third for roughly 20 seconds each side, and then we're going to rotate it and roll it again and proceed to do so until a minute has passed. After we've completed the inverting and shaking and the rolling of the meter, we're going to take off the cap and then record the amount of foam in which you have in the meter and where the water is. Now we can see that the foam is not greater than 25%, and we're going to leave this meter sitting upright without the cap for 2 minutes to see if the change is greater than 25%. If it's not greater than 25%, we're okay. We can take down that reading. And now we're going to proceed to do the rolling each side. We roll each side at an angle for approximately 20 seconds each. Listen to the aggregate slide, and then after that, we're gonna proceed to do the next steps. After completing the second set of rolling, we're gonna now look at the values in which we have, and now we're gonna look at the level of the water and where it's at. As you can see, it's right about the 2 mark. And we're gonna see if within 2 minutes it changes. And as you can see, after the 2 minutes, time has elapsed. It did not change. Now we're gonna put our hands on top of the meter and slowly raise the top so no water comes splurging out. And after taking off the cover, now we're gonna slightly pour off all that excess water, and then we're gonna dump and shake as hard as possible the concrete into whatever disposable container you have, and then we're gonna see if the test has failed or not. As you can see in our process, the test failed because there's concrete still in the bottom of it.